How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new 2023 Lamborghini Huracan Tecnica from a first-person point of view. This is the best of all worlds in Lamborghini's eyes, taking the intensity and track focusedness of the Huracan STO, combining it with the street ability of the Huracan Evo. Now, at the heart of the Huracan Tecnica is the glorious 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 that makes 631 horsepower and 417 pound-feet of torque. And it sounds absolutely incredible. Look at all this, made of carbon fiber to save weight. All told, it weighs just 85 pounds more than the track-focused Huracan STO. And that doesn't even come with a trunk. Now check out how cool the rear end of this car is. We have hexagonal exhaust tips for the first time on a Lamborghini Huracan. We also have a smaller wing than the Huracan STO, but a bigger wing than the Huracan Evo. Now coming down lower, we also have an incredibly aggressive rear diffuser. Now the biggest changes do come from the front of the car, and it's the easiest way to tell a Huracan Tecnica from a standard Lamborghini Huracan, and that is the Y-shaped design elements in the front. As you can see here over by the headlight, we've got this Y design. It's actually an air curtain that allows air to travel this way and tug it on the side of the car, so it's got that streamlined air. It also routes more air to the brakes for cooling, as well as into the engine. But this design language is from the Lamborghini Sion, as well as the race car, the Huracan Super Trofeo Evo 2. I think it looks pretty nice. We've also got this black piece here to make the cockpit look a bit more aggressive and longer and make the hood look shorter. This hood is actually completely made of carbon fiber. Now, it's rear-wheel drive with rear axle steering, which is pretty cool. These can turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels. And interestingly enough, it's called the LP640, like the Murcielago. We've also got a revised intake right here as well. It's pretty much most of the changes of the car over the Huracan Evo. Let's hop inside. The inside of the Huracan Tecnica is a lovely place to be, albeit it doesn't look any different than the Huracan Evo. Nice use of Alcantara and different contrasted leathers, but it is basically identical to the Huracan Evo. The seats are, well, they look great, but they're not the most comfortable on long distances. They are relatively supportive, but Lamborghini could up their game in the seat department, in my opinion. As with all Huracans, we've got this flip-up fighter jet style ignition. Let's go ahead and fire on that naturally aspirated V10 that brings this awesome instrument cluster. Now, interestingly, unlike the Evo, where if you were in Strada mode, it had a circular tachometer, every single one is now this rainbow shape like Corsa mode. I believe that started with the Aventador SV was the first one with that really cool instrument cluster design. But if we go into Sport, it's a slightly different design with yellow. This changes a little bit. And then if we go into Corsa, things change to red. 7-speed dual clutch transmission, paddles mounted behind the steering wheel. Air conditioning vents here. We even have a cup holder in a track-focused car. That's pretty awesome. We also have a cup holder, I believe this is a cup holder, down in here. Look at that. It's just a circular hole right there. Very interesting. Now, let's go ahead and check out the multimedia system. The graphics are fantastic, actually pretty impressive for a supercar, and it works really, really well. I mean, it's instantaneous when you click this stuff. It actually swipes really impressively fast. But we want to experience this thing out on the road, so let's take it for a spin, shall we? Visibility out of the back is actually pretty decent for a Lamborghini. It's not blocked by that wing. You can see pretty darn well. A little bit of extra storage space behind the seats here, but not much. You do have a glove box right here and a front trunk as well. I got to give a special shout out to Monza Exotics for making this video possible. They're an exotic rental car company in Southern California. They've got this, a Urus, a Ghost, a whole bunch of awesome cars, good deals, good people. Make sure to check them out. I've got a link in the description below. All right, let's take it for a drive. Behind the wheel now of the Huracan Tecnica, and this thing sounds freaking glorious. I mean, that naturally aspirated V10 has to be the best sounding modern day supercar that there is in this category. I mean, if you look at things like the F8 Tributo, the 296, the Artura, the soundtrack of this Huracan absolutely destroys those cars. Obviously, it's down on power because of it, but you don't really care when you're screaming and banging through the gears with that ridiculous ridiculous sounding V10 that revs up to 8,500 RPM. We're in Corsa mode right now. Let's put it into Strata mode, closes those baffles. It actually is pretty quiet in here when you're in Strata mode. The interesting thing is, while it idles loudly in Corsa, you'll notice as we take off from this stoplight, it actually closes the baffles again, which is a little bit confusing. See, it's still kind of quiet until you get on it. The transmission tuning is fantastic. The downshifts and upshifts are instant. This car is awesome. And despite the fact that it is rear-wheel drive, you don't have any traction issues at low speeds whatsoever. Even if you're flooring it at 10, 15, 20 miles an hour, it doesn't get a whole bunch of wheel spin, anything like that. So we're coming up to a dip. Really easy part about the Huracan, click this button right here. That's the front lift. If you're gonna get a Huracan, make sure to get the front lift. I'm just gonna go through this neighborhood to show off some of the usability of the car, because this is the usable version of the Huracan STO, and it does feel that way. I've heard some people say that this car feels way too uncomfortable, but I don't really agree. I almost feel like it feels too comfortable. So that front lift is up, that turning radius, look at that. That's actually unbelievable because of that rear axle steering. Nice X3M. These people are probably like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's just doing weird circles in his Lamborghini in our neighborhood. Wish it was mine. Honestly, it's very exciting being behind the wheel of a new generation of Huracan. Obviously, as somebody who's owned the LP610 and the Huracan Evo Spider, I'm very, very a huge fan of this platform. And it's cool to see the latest and greatest iteration. Although I will say I don't quite get what it is. Oh, this thing is ridiculous. When I say I don't get what it is, here's what I mean by that. They've got the Huracan STO, which is the full-fledged track-focused car. And then they've got the Huracan Evo. So why do you need this middle ground of it's not the Evo and it's not the STO? I feel like they're creating a category that doesn't necessarily need to exist. It's kind of like the Aventador Ultimate, where they should have ended it with the SVJ, maybe made a little bit less production numbers, and then they added this Ultimate that's like a tuned down version of a tuned up version. I don't quite get where they're trying to end up with that. I guess a little bit more lively than the standard Aventador S, but it's not like that car isn't lively. Climate control works fantastic in this car. One thing that I do really like is there's some shortcuts with the display here. If you use 3 fingers, you can turn the volume up and down like that. You can also pause and turn off the screen with multiple fingers, which I think is pretty cool. And it's nice to have that little bit of modern flair, I think, in the car's interior. It looked okay when it didn't have a screen here, but I love the way this looks so much better than the first generation of the Huracan. I also love the instrument cluster here with that beautiful kind of rainbow style tachometer. It just looks really, really nice. Overall, this thing sounds absolutely fantastic. It's super light on its feet because of that rear axle steering and the rear wheel drive. It's super fun to drive. It's super quick, and it's honestly really impressive. This thing feels so nimble, and it doesn't feel like what you traditionally think of when you think of Lamborghini as a good-looking but not the best driving car. This thing actually handles phenomenally well, and then look how easily you can do a turnaround because of that rear axle steering. All right, one last acceleration pull for you. All right, I lied, one more. Well, guys, there you have it. I really like this car. Like I said, you know, if I was gonna get one, I'd get the Huracan STO, and then if I wanted to not spend as much money as the Huracan STO, honestly, I'd buy a used Huracan Evo. But if you are in the market and you have the money, and you want something slightly better than an Evo, but slightly not quite as insane as the STO, then hey, could be in the market for one of these. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's review. Look forward to seeing you next video.